From clashing with his own bandmate because he couldn't stay focused on his career, to allegedly scamming women out of thousands of dollars just to keep up a fake image of luxury. This is the unsettling story of how Jibri Bell went from being one half of 90 Day Fiancé's flashiest couple to a warning sign of manufactured success and real-life manipulation. When Jibri Bell first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé Season 9, viewers were instantly hooked. The 28-year-old musician from South Dakota introduced himself as a member of a band called Black Serbs, and arrived with his stunning Serbian fiancée, Miona, someone who looked far more suited for a fashion runway than life in Rapid City. The couple flaunted matching designer outfits, posed with luxury cars online, and presented a lifestyle that felt completely out of reach for the average person. But behind the curated posts and flashy looks, Jibri and Miona's relationship rested on lies, financial pressure, and carefully staged social media fantasies. What began as a romantic meeting at a Serbian music festival slowly unraveled into accusations of scamming, laziness, and a marriage crushed by Jibri's inability to deliver the life he promised. This is the story of how one man's troubled upbringing, hunger for attention, and lack of drive led to one of the most dramatic collapses in 90 Day Fiancé history. Before the fame, the cameras, and the chaos, Jibri's life started somewhere much darker than fans ever imagined. Long before his colorful suits and over-the-top personality made him recognizable on reality TV, Jibri was a troubled teenager, barely holding things together in Rapid City, South Dakota. In an interview with the Rapid City Journal, he revealed that his childhood looked nothing like the glamorous image he later tried to sell. Growing up as a biracial black child in South Dakota, Jibri felt deeply isolated. He admitted there were only a handful of kids like him in the area, and he struggled to fit in. That sense of alienation weighed heavily on him and pushed him toward destructive choices. As a teenager, Jibri began skipping school and getting into frequent fights. His behavior spiraled so badly that his family could no longer manage it. Eventually, he was sent to the Human Services Center in Yankton, South Dakota, the state's only public psychiatric hospital. But that was only the beginning. Jibri became a familiar face at the Pennington County Juvenile Detention Center, repeatedly getting locked up as his behavior worsened. When he was just 16, his mother made the difficult decision to send him to Star Academy, a juvenile correctional facility in Custer, South Dakota. According to Jibri, it was during the bus ride to Star Academy that reality finally hit him. He realized he didn't want his life to be defined by arrests and confinement. After spending roughly 90 days there, he returned to his high school in Rapid City, claiming to be a changed person. The trauma from those years would later shape and damage his adult relationships. After leaving the correctional system, Jibri managed to redirect part of his life. He reconnected with a high school friend, David Dacho, a Serbian refugee, and bonded with him over music. Together, they formed a band called Black Serbs, which Jibri described as space punk, blending punk rock with electronic hip-hop. Serbia soon became central to Jibri's identity. It was the first country he ever visited outside the US, and he fell in love with its people, culture, and food. In 2019, while performing at Serbia's Exit Festival, Jibri noticed Miona in the crowd. He claimed they locked eyes during the show, and afterward found each other and started talking. The connection was immediate, and soon Miona was traveling with him whenever he returned to Serbia. On the outside, Jibri's life finally appeared to be on track. He had a band, international, travel, and a beautiful girlfriend who seemed aligned with his dreams of fame. But beneath that image, the reality was very different. The truth was that Black Serbs never achieved real success. Their YouTube channel hovered around 70,000 subscribers, but their music never broke into the mainstream. By January 2020, the band went silent, posting nothing new for years. Despite presenting himself as a working musician, Jibri was essentially jobless and still living with his parents well into his late 20s. Before fully committing to music, Jibri worked as a real estate agent in Chicago under his legal name, David Jibri Richardson Bell. In 2017, he earned what he described as the most money of his life, but he was unhappy. So he walked away from stability to chase fame, a decision that would ultimately leave him financially stranded. The cracks in Jibri and Miona's perfect image became obvious the moment filming began. When Miona arrived in the US on a K-1 visa, reality hit hard. Jibri had painted a picture of life in Los Angeles or New York, touring with his band, and building a flashy empire together. Instead, she found a broke, unemployed man still living in his parents' house in South Dakota. From the start, conflict was unavoidable. Jibri and Miona constantly argued with his parents, especially his mother, Mahala. Miona's bold fashion choices and glamorous style clashed with Mahala's expectations, who felt disrespected in her own home. Rules about how Miona should dress quickly turned into ongoing tension. But the real problem wasn't clothing or household rules. It was money. Jibri talked endlessly about future success, yet had no income and no concrete plan. He relied entirely on his parents to support both himself and his wife while chasing fame. Miona, who came to America expecting luxury and opportunity, instead felt stuck in a small town with a man who couldn't afford independence. From the beginning, she was clear. South Dakota wasn't the dream. She wanted Los Angeles, glamour, and a partner who could actually provide. Jibri's reaction to these completely reasonable concerns was nothing but empty reassurance. He kept telling Miona they'd move to California soon, that his music career was about to blow up, and that everything would magically work out. He even sold an NFT of his ripped jeans for more than $10,000, presenting it as proof that he was a successful entrepreneur. In reality, none of it lasted, and none of it was genuine. Throughout their time on the show, Jibri and Miona worked overtime to sell an image of wealth and success. Their social media was filled with photos of matching designer outfits, luxury cars, and expensive trips. Viewers quickly started questioning the story. How was an unemployed musician paying for Porsches and Dubai vacations? The truth was simple: he wasn't. Behind the flashy Instagram facade was a marriage quietly falling apart. Despite all the warning signs, Jibri and Miona tied the knot in November 2021 in California. Their desert wedding was described by Jibri as both beautiful and inexpensive, which ended up being a perfect reflection of their relationship as a whole. He even wrote a song for Miona, highlighting the one skill he genuinely had: songwriting. After getting married, they finally moved out of Jibri's parents' house and into their own place in Palm Springs, California. Online, they celebrated the move as if they had just purchased a Beverly Hills estate. Their feed stayed packed with coordinated outfits, flashy cars, and posts portraying a flawless life together. Miona launched her brand, Miona Beauty, selling ponytail extensions and wigs. Jibri claimed she earned $20,000 in her first week and close to $90,000 in her first month. While those figures were likely inflated for attention, Miona undeniably built a profitable business quickly by leveraging her reality TV exposure. Meanwhile, Jibri insisted he was focused on his music, but nothing materialized. Black Serbs remained inactive, and his solo projects went nowhere. The reality became obvious to everyone, including Miona. While she was hustling and bringing in real income, Jibri was contributing absolutely nothing. Jibri's behavior at the Season 9 tell-all revealed who he really was. He came across as hostile, erratic, and desperate for attention, constantly inserting himself into conflicts that had nothing to do with him. He snapped at cast members and embarrassed himself on national television. Even former bandmates had already pulled away, disturbed by how much he had changed since marrying Miona. By early 2023, Jibri and Miona were still playing the role of a perfect couple online. They vacationed in Hawaii, celebrated their first anniversary next to a Porsche convertible, and attended Coachella in matching, eye-catching outfits. In one post, Miona wrote, "I love doing life with you," as they kissed in front of the post-Coachella Ferris wheel. Fans flooded the comments, calling them relationship goals and the best couple in 90-day fiancé history. But it was all carefully staged. Behind closed doors, Miona was growing increasingly fed up with Jibri's lack of motivation and refusal to grow up. What came next exposed the most troubling side of Jibri Bell. In October 2023, fans noticed something was off. Miona stopped posting Jibri altogether. Soon after, she archived every photo of them together, including their wedding pictures. It was as if the relationship had been completely erased from her Instagram. At the same time, Jibri resurfaced in Thailand. He shaved his head and eyebrows out of the Pasana Meditation Center, claiming he was undergoing a spiritual cleanse to abandon ego and materialism. When questioned by fans, he said shaving his eyebrows symbolized releasing his obsession with appearance and attention. Jibri began posting about how extreme his former lifestyle had been, waking up in his so-called California castle, choosing between 3 luxury cars just to drive to Starbucks. He described layering designer clothes, cologne, and jewelry, hoping strangers would recognize him from social media or television. Here's the reality. None of that existed. There was no castle. There were no luxury cars. Jibri had been living off Miona's income while pretending to be a successful entrepreneur. His so-called spiritual awakening was just another act, another rebrand to mask the truth that he was broke, lost, and directionless. When fans asked about Miona, Jibri continued insisting they were still together. In reality, Miona had already moved on with someone new back in California. On Valentine's Day 2024, she posted photos of flowers, balloons, and a cake, writing, "Woke up like this on Valentine's Day. I'm feeling so loved." In March 2024, Jibri finally confirmed what everyone already suspected. He uploaded a video of himself rapping, paired with a long caption announcing his split from Miona. He claimed that long-term commitment made him feel uneasy and trapped. He took responsibility for the breakup, blaming immaturity or saying he simply hadn't found the one. He even joked that he should probably stop dating Eastern European women. What Jibri didn't mention was the real reason Miona walked away, and the truth was far more damaging than his vague explanations suggested. For months after the breakup, Miona stayed mostly quiet. She quickly moved on with a new boyfriend, Terzel Ron, an entertainment producer connected to the Oprah Winfrey Network. It was obvious she had upgraded and was thriving. Then, in May 2024, during an Instagram Q&A, a fan asked why her previous relationship ended. Her response was ruthless. She shared a quote that read, "You can either build with a busy partner or babysit a lazy one." Miona expanded on the message, making it unmistakably clear she was referring to Jibri. She said she was focused on growth and taking serious steps forward in life, and that her partner couldn't be complacent, lazy, or someone who turns to scams to make money. She wanted a man who could build something real. The message couldn't have been clearer. Miona was calling Jibri lazy, dependent, and a scammer. Throughout their marriage, she had financially supported him while he contributed nothing but excuses. Eventually, she was done babysitting a grown man who refused to work, evolve, or take responsibility. In another Q&A, when asked what kind of men she stays away from, Miona didn't hold back. She said, "If you notice a grown man nearing 30 or older who has no career direction and isn't financially responsible, run." She added that she'd been running her own businesses since the age of 17 and had zero time for a man-child. These statements forced fans to rethink everything they believed about Jibri and Miona's relationship. Those luxury cars they showed off, either funded by Miona or rented for photo ops. The glamorous lifestyle, bankrolled by Miona's wig business, while Jibri contributed nothing. The so-called power couple? In reality, it was one driven woman dragging along dead weight that refused to move. But Miona's comments were only the beginning of the unsettling information about Jibri's behavior. In November 2024, a Reddit post emerged that painted an even more disturbing picture of who Jibri allegedly was behind the scenes. A 33-year-old woman from Iceland, Rebecca Sif Threinsdottir, came forward with serious claims of manipulation and financial exploitation. According to Rebecca, she met Jibri in Thailand in January 2024, right around the time he claimed to be going through a spiritual awakening. She says she was emotionally vulnerable after leaving an abusive relationship, and Jibri took advantage of that. Over the course of about a year, she alleges he manipulated her into sending roughly $20,000 through lies and emotional pressure. Rebecca claims Jibri promised to move to Iceland and be with her as her fiancé. She says he repeatedly asked for money, always with excuses and reassurances, insisting it was temporary. She has stated that she possesses evidence, including messages, emails, screenshots, and transaction records to back up her allegations. After Rebecca shared her experience publicly, another woman reportedly reached out to her with similar claims of financial exploitation involving Jibri. This suggested that Rebecca's situation may not have been an isolated case, but part of a repeated pattern. These allegations lined up disturbingly well with what Miona had hinted at, Jibri turning to scams to survive. While traveling through Asia and presenting himself as a man on a spiritual journey, Jibri was allegedly running a con, targeting emotionally vulnerable women and extracting money through false promises of love and commitment. A clear pattern began to emerge. Jibri would meet women, often from other countries, sell them a fantasy, promise marriage, stability, and a better future, then take whatever he could from them. Once the illusion broke, he would disappear and move on to the next person. Ultimately, Jibri's story stands as a textbook case of wasted opportunity and deliberate immaturity. He had advantages many people never get: supportive parents who stood by him during his troubled youth, access to programs meant to help him get back on track, real talent as a songwriter and performer, a massive platform through 90 Day Fiancé that exposed him to millions, and a wife who was willing to work, hustle, and build a business capable of supporting them both. Yet Jibri squandered it all because he refused to grow up, refused to put in effort, and refused to take accountability for his own life. He wanted the rewards of success without the work. He wanted admiration and recognition without creating anything worthy of either. The so-called spiritual awakening in Thailand, the weight loss journey, the charitable work in Serbia, all of it appears to be just another performance. Another storyline crafted by someone who has never been authentic. Jibri continues to chase attention, bounce from country to country, and allegedly manipulate new women with the same recycled promises. But the truth is now out in the open. No amount of flashy outfits, curated Instagram posts, or claims of enlightenment can conceal the reality being painted by those closest to him. Jibri Bell is being exposed as someone unwilling to build anything real. Miona got out. She recognized the act and chose herself. Other women should take that lesson seriously and run the moment Jibri shows up with grand promises and nothing to back them up. The troubled teenager from South Dakota didn't truly change. He just learned how to dress better. But the opposing aircraft was already